The Scary Movie franchise was a set of American parody movies which grew in popularity in the early 2000s, with the first movie coming out in 2000 and the final movie, Scary Movie 5, coming out in 2015. These movies more or less took things from pop culture, references from movies, TV shows, music videos, and so on, and put them all into a movie, and took the piss out of them. Mostly, the Scary Movie franchise poked fun at horror movies, but there were other parody movies such as Not Another Teen Movie, Superhero Movie, Epic Movie, and so on. And honestly, growing up, I loved all of them. They bring me back to such a specific time and make me feel extremely nostalgic when I see clips from these movies. More specifically, I adored Scary Movie 2. I'm not sure why, but whenever I was like 10 years old learning English, I just watched Scary Movie 2 on repeat, and I've honestly watched it easily over 20 times. I watch it all the time. Out of the entire franchise, it was just a movie I always went to. I could probably remember every single scene. I used to always make reference to this movie, and I haven't watched it in like, I don't know, 12 or 13 years, and today I'm finally gonna rewatch it because now in 2024 we don't really have parody movies anymore like that. And in this video I wanted to have a look at why, but also rewatch Scary Movie 2 to see how it's held up after 23 years and to see if it's still funny and if I still remember every single reference. So I'm gonna stop yapping and I'm gonna go watch Scary Movie 2 in 2024. I feel so old, oh my gosh. Right, okay, let's go watch this movie. Let's go.
Fuck this.
Oh, that is really cold. I made some red tea for myself. Okay, just finished reading all the American election results. That is not good. So let's try to distract ourselves from everything that is going on by just talking about a silly movie. And that movie is Scary Movie 2. I grew up watching these movies and they meant so much to me. But the Scary Movie, like the second Scary Movie, for some reason just stuck out throughout everything. I've watched this movie so many times and I feel like I could reference everything in this movie. I could quote things from this movie. This movie lives rent-free in my head, but I haven't watched this movie in like, I don't know, maybe 10, if not more years. It's been a long time, but also I have not watched a movie in like 2 weeks because I was in Poland, then I had things going on. So I feel like this is like the perfect way to get back into movie watching, and that was something else. The one thing I really was curious about is how this movie has aged and how have I like reacted to it, because whenever I was growing up I found this movie to be extremely hilarious. I thought it was so funny, but I was also like 11 or 12. I understood nothing, didn't really get any of the references, and everything that now is definitely quite problematic. I found no problem with it back then, so it was very interesting to me to see how I was going to react to this movie. And hands up, I'm not going to lie, I really went back into that kind of like 12-year-old mindset watching this. I was like, damn, there are still things in this movie I find extremely hilarious, but also there are things that I'm viewing from like a 2024 lens that have definitely not aged very well, and I just don't like personally find very funny. So it's kind of like a weird balance of, did I like it, did I not like it? But I think just because of the nostalgia and everything else, I did enjoy this movie. Basically, Scary Movie 2 is about a group of people that get put into a house because they are put there by a professor who's conducting an experiment, an insomnia sleep experiment, and they have to spend a night in a haunted house. And so once they are there, they encounter strange happenings and decide to get rid of a ghost. Everything by that description sounds very basic and generic, and it is. But what makes this movie, what makes this Scary Movie franchise, I have something on my hand, go away. What makes the Scary Movie franchise fun is that every scene in this movie for an hour and 20 minutes is just bits and bits and bits, whilst the storyline is very basic and progresses, and I really like that about this movie. These types of movies were just a massive thing. They were just a thing, and they're not a thing anymore. And it got me thinking, why do we not have movies like Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Epic Movie, all of those movies that I have mentioned? And I feel like it's because our references came from such a central place in the early 2000s. We got references from a very limited amount of sources. Maybe like TV, the news, the movies. It was a lot more central, but now our references come from so many places. References change so quick, but now things change so fast. References are a lot more niche. We consume a lot more media. So I feel like making a movie like this in 2024 would be impossible because references are so wide. They don't come from like a central point. They're not coming from like just the news, from just one movie. They're so like, we are exposed to so much more media, and therefore our references are just a lot broader, and that is definitely a good thing. But at the same time, I feel like because of that, we can't make movies like that, because news changes so fast. Something that you care about right now, you will not care about it in like 24 hours time, and that's just how things are. So I feel like trying to make a movie like this now, like if they started producing it now in November 2024, by the time it comes out, let's say in November 2025, people are going to be like, holy fuck, do you remember that? That feels like a million years ago, even though it was just a year ago. So that's why I feel like it feels quite nostalgic to watch a movie like this and reflect upon a movie like this, because it just like, especially watching this as an adult, I definitely understood a lot more of the references, even with like very like huge ones that I should have known growing up. For example, The Exorcist. I've only watched that movie, which is very embarrassing. I only watched that movie for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and watching this movie straight away, I was like, wow, I get these references even more, but it's quite funny. And the one thing I feel like that has changed with comedy, it felt like the quality of the comedy didn't really matter in the early 2000s. It was all about pushing boundaries, because holy shit, this movie does not hold back. I'm talking making fun of like disabled people, using racial slurs, just like piss, shit, puke, everything. This movie in every single way just does not hold back. And that's just a comedy of the time. Definitely not a comedy of now, but definitely comedy of early 2000s. And they make all these references whilst having a load of like movie references within the movie, if you know what I mean. And I was quite curious to see what references there are in the movie. So there's some of them I definitely picked up, and there are some that I did not pick up. So I made a list of everything that I feel like they're referenced. Maybe I've missed some. So let's talk through them. So we have The Exorcist, obviously, in the opening scene, and the base, like the foundation of the movie, is based on the movie The Haunting from 1999, I think. I think there's also a later version. Then we have Poltergeist, Hollow Man, House on Haunted Hill, What Lies Beneath, Amityville Horror, Titanic, Charlie's Angels, and Mission Impossible 2. Crazy amount of references, and I'm not gonna lie, whenever I was younger, did I get any of those references? No, I just watched it being like, haha, it's funny, he's farting, haha, she's pissing on the floor, haha, she's funny. And so many scenes, I'm not even joking, as I was about to watch this, they were just repeating in my head because they are ingrained in my brain. For example, the basketball scene, that yeah, I'm not really sure why. Or the scene where the guy gets rolled up into a massive blunt.
Oh my god. I smell something burning.
Or the scene where it's kind of like Sabrina's reference to Sabrina and her cat, and the cat is like beating the shit out of her and like Rocky style.
See, come on. Yeah, come on.
Absolutely crazy. Some of these scenes live rent-free in my head, especially the scene at the dinner table where the guy has a deformed hand and he's like touching all the food and everybody's like, oh, don't do that. In my head, rent-free. And the scene where Beetlejuice comes out of the guy's head and he's like, this is your brain on drugs.
What the fuck?
Beetlejuice in the house. This is your brains on drugs. Oh shit, son.
Literally, it's crazy how much this movie has impacted me. And as I said, I did not know English growing up, so this movie was definitely very formative, and I don't know if that's alarming. It definitely is. And this entire movie is just play on like words, like taking things very literally. They just give us long shots of everything, like instead of just cutting very quick. Whenever we see the girl from The Exorcist reference, she's just standing on the camera and pissing for ages. Or whenever the exorcism is actually happening, they're just puking on each other for ages or farting happening. Like, it's just very, very, very different, like, comedy that I feel like is quite funny to reflect on, but I feel like it just not too much of it. We definitely don't want too much of it because it just, I don't know, it definitely gets tiring very quickly. Even though this movie is 80 minutes long, by the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm slowly getting fed up of this. So by the time the movie was ending, I was like, ooh, I'm kind of glad that this movie is 80 minutes long, which I feel like this movie definitely gets it right. It definitely gets that right, but I also feel like the movie gets the fun, because definitely making this movie was extremely fun. And what I really love about this movie is, although the cast are based on stereotypes, which I obviously do not agree with, this movie just has fun with the characters so much. In every single way, the cast seems like it just had like a lot of fun, and it also plays into those stereotypes and is self-aware of those stereotypes. But the characters in this movie, I really, really, really love. Like the way they speak to each other, the way Cindy speaks, the way every single character speaks, the way the scene where they're like, they see the tattoos on each other's backs and they're like, Ray fucked me, Ray fucked me, Ray fucked me, and then they realize what's actually happening. It's crazy. It's I definitely loved this movie a lot, but at the same time, can I see myself coming back to watching this anytime soon? Definitely not. But if you want, I will definitely make a video where I watch all the scary movies, because I don't really remember the first one. I think the first one is based on, is it Scream? And then one of them is based on The Grudge and like The Circle, because I remember Charlie Sheen is in it and the alien puts like his finger in his mouth, but he's pissing from his mouth. Crazy. What else? I'm trying to remember what else happens in the other movies, but I don't remember, but I've watched them all so many times. I feel like in the fifth one, like Snoop Dogg's in it or something like that. I don't know. But as I said, this movie just feels interesting because it's just, it feels like it's a group of people making a movie, making continuous bits, things that they thought were funny in the early 2000s and were at the time funny, and they just made a massive compilation of all the bits that they created and put them all into a movie, and they were like, fuck, we need a really basic generic storyline. What about if everybody just goes into a haunted house and there's just a few ghosts? How about that? And that's exactly what this movie feels like. It's definitely one that you could definitely watch with your friends and reflect on like what comedy was like 23 years ago, but also definitely have a good time with it, because not everything in this movie is awful. It hasn't aged in the worst way possible. It's definitely one that you should definitely watch with your friends or somebody if you want to just have a little bit of fun and just chat while watching. It's not even one of those movies that you really need to pay attention to. I feel like you can definitely watch this and have just a lot of fun with this movie. Yeah, but I feel like that's everything I have to say about Scary Movie 2. I know I'm not like directly reviewing this movie and I'm just talking about like the genre and the series as a whole, but it was very fun to kind of revisit this in 2024. Crazy how old I feel, because I feel ancient, but I'm also glad that I did watch it. But that's everything I have to say about Scary Movie 2. Do you like this movie? Do you like the franchise? Why do you like it? Why do you not like it? Let me know. I am curious, and I will talk to you later on in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, bye, bye.